welcome to the channel. This is a very special video release. This is video 1 in a 2-part contest series. I am going to be giving away an original Insta360 1X. As you can see, this one's been signed by me, and the reason for that is because this is my personal Insta360 1X. If you are interested in winning this, make sure you watch this entire video so that you can learn how to win this and hopefully get it just in time for Christmas. Now, before we get too far into this video, let me warn you, when I titled this video the definitive guide to the Insta360 1X2, I wasn't kidding. This is gonna be a long one, so grab a drink and let's kick back and deep dive into what we can create with the Insta360 1X2. Be aware that down in the description, as well as the timeline, everything is marked by subject. So if you're just looking for a specific bit of info about the Insta360 1X2, that's a bit of a tongue twister. Then you can use those options to jump around anywhere in the video to just quickly find what you're looking for. I just got the Insta360 1X2. Thank you very much, Insta360, for that. And I'm gonna be unboxing it in this video and showing you basically how you can create videos like this. Insta360 did send me the sports bundle, which comes with all these little adapters and ways to hook it up. I personally like to use one of these. When you use the Insta360 1X, 1X2, 1R with one of these poles, it doesn't look like you're filming yourself. It ends up looking like you have a cameraman following you around. And I'll also link a couple of really good poles if you don't already have one in the description below. Make sure to subscribe and click that little bell notifications thing down there. That way you get notified whenever I do the next video in the series showing you the 1X2 and the 1X side by side. You might see on my channel I do a lot of stuff with GoPros, other action cameras like the Osmo Action, GoPro Max, and this guy. You probably noticed I don't do very many videos with the Insta360 1R. That's because I enjoy the 1X much more than the 1R. And whenever they switched over to a modular camera, it ended up being a camera that I didn't like quite as much. For my needs, when you're out snowboarding or doing something in really cold conditions, it is a royal pain in the butt to have to switch this around, take it apart, take the modulars apart, put the other modular on, put it back together, flip-flop it so the screen's on their side, put it all back together, put the battery back on, and then put it back in the case. So although the 1X only shot in 360, I never had to worry about losing pieces, dropping things in the snow, or any of that nonsense. And I used this camera a ton until I got a hold of the GoPro Max. The GoPro Max has a mode called Hero Mode, which let you then shoot as a regular GoPro in a sense with just one of the lenses. But now the 1X2 has that also. As excited as I am to put this camera up against the GoPro Max, my GoPro Max is in the shop right now. Oh shit. I scratched the heck out of it when I was over at Universal Studios, so I had to send it back to GoPro. So if you want to see that video, subscribe to the channel, click the bell notification, and that video will be coming later on. That's a hashtag. But let me explain to you why this is even in this video. As I said earlier, I am giving away the Insta360 1X. I'm going to be hiding the hashtag somewhere in the video. In the comments below, you have to actually make sure you hashtag everything I've hidden in this video, and I'm gonna do the same thing in the part 2 video of this. I know, I make things complicated. So to win this camera, you have to pay attention to the entire video so that you can spot where the hashtags are, and then post that in the comments below. Now, just because they sent me this is not a sponsored video. They did not have me sign anything saying, Sean Hawes, you need to make a video that says this is the coolest thing since sliced bread. Nope, nope, nope. Let's go ahead and get this thing open and teach you guys how to use it. All right, we're gonna open this baby up, and we're not gonna do a real unboxing because there's probably plenty of videos out there already that show you like the box opening and what's inside the box. The camera's inside the box. Gosh, this is not an easy box to open. Oh God, I almost flung it across the room. Ooh. Ooh, first impressions. Size-wise, it's a little shorter. Yeah, it's slightly thicker. It is rubberized, which is nice, and it is waterproof. If you missed it, I did a video with the GoPro Max, which is a 360 camera, versus a regular lens GoPro style camera, actually the GoPro 9. And I show you how, because these lenses are curved, you still need a case to actually do underwater footage with these 360 type cameras. The battery has this like weird 2-hinge thing. It does work, and it's similar to the way that the battery pops out on the Osmo Action, if you guys are familiar with that camera. And you just push it in and make sure that these tabs are locked. So if that's red, it's not waterproof, and it's a much bigger battery compared to the Insta360 One X. Unlike the Insta360 One X, this is an actual video screen. The power button is here on the side. It looks like there's a few different mics on it scattered all around the camera, which is great. Still uses a solid standard tripod mount on the bottom so that you don't have to worry about the camera moving one way or the other and the pole ending up in the shot when you're doing 360 content. So it looks like you could plug it in and charge it right there. And I'm sure if they don't already, by the time I made this video, I am sure there's going to be plenty of aftermarket batteries and chargers. I'm going to quickly see what else came in the box. All right, you got a little box in a box, and in that little box we got another box. No, we don't have another box. Okay, we do have another box. We have a little box, and in that little box we have a USB-C cable. Then you got a little foam case that it comes with that, again, pretty similar to the One X case. So you can slide it in the case to protect the lenses. It is a pretty tight fit.
That's what she said.
There you go. So you could do that. You could have it on there. You don't have the strap like you did on the first case. It's a case and it comes with it, so you don't have to buy anything extra if you don't want to. Of course, it comes with a cleaning cloth and some reading material. Sometimes companies like to hide things in their boxes, but that is solid. They just don't want you getting under there. We got nothing. I did get this little lens cappy doodad guy, and it's a silicone sleeve that fits over the top. And originally I was like, oh, I'll just use that other thing. But now that I've seen this case and how it's sort of just this thin floppy thing, I see why people are buying this, and I would recommend buying this if you don't get a kit that already comes with it. It's just a little silicone sleeve that you can just easily just sort of right over the lenses, and poof, there it is. Your lenses are protected. Now what you want to do for 360 stuff is you get your straight pole and you just screw it right onto the bottom of the camera. And the nice thing about this is the 360 camera will make this pole vanish. Pretty much anything that is in line with the pole overlaps those and stitches out what's in between. So if your hand is way up here, you'll see a stitch line through your hand, but if you extend the pole out, well, then it's going to look a lot more natural and it won't usually mess your hand up. There are a few different poles that work. I really like the carbon fiber pole that Insta360 makes. It's lighter than these and it unscrews instead of just doing this twisty thing. And if you are interested in seeing more about how this works, how the pole becomes invisible, let me know in those comments and I'll make a standalone short video that just sort of goes over how that works. You film differently with these than you do with a regular GoPro or something else. There's a different mind frame that you use to be able to capture more unique shots that really stand out and make it look like you had your own personal cameraman. Now, before we get into editing and how to actually use this camera, let's go to the mountain and I'll pick it up there. Like I was saying back at the studio, you gotta think a little different when you're filming with a 360 camera. So let me show you what I do or how I think whenever I'm filming with one of these. You wanna think of the camera itself sort of as a cameraman, and it can look in any which direction, up, down, left, right, all over the place. So if you want a shot that's sort of level at your head, you're just holding it out no matter where you're at, level at your head. If you want to get a cool shot down on the ground, you're just putting the camera down there. You got to be careful you don't scratch the ground with the lenses, but you're going for that. You want that over the shoulder shot that looks down like that, you're putting it there. So keep in mind when you're doing all these shots in 360 mode, you don't have to like look at yourself. You can turn the camera to look anywhere. And that's what's so cool about these, is you figure out what you want to see after the fact. And while you're doing the action, you're just thinking about, well, what height do I want that camera? What side do I want the camera at? Let me show you what I'm talking about. Like I was saying back in the studio, this camera isn't just a 360 camera anymore. You can tap this right here on the screen that turns it into 150 degrees using just one of the lenses. You can choose which lens you want to use. You can choose if it's vertical or horizontal. Now we're recording just with one lens. You can see I'm recording the guy holding the camera right there. When you're recording in this way and you're doing action stuff with this, since it's a mount that's not like bendable, and you go put yourself out like this with the camera, you're now filming either straight up or straight down. You do have to get a different adapter that lets you have that motion, which then makes the whole point of this static mount sort of pointless. Well, I think that explains all I can here on the mountain. So let's fold this baby back up and head back to the studio. I like the chime. It is so much fun to use 360 cameras to capture action type events. It really just lets you focus on the action and what you're doing and not worry so much about, well, is the camera pointed in the right direction? Now, before I get into the short tutorial showing you how to edit your own footage on the Insta360 One X2 app, we need to finish setting up the camera and briefly go over the interface so that you're familiar with all the things that you're gonna need to know before you take your camera and get out and start filming for yourself. Remember, I told you this was gonna be a long video. Now, before you can record anything to your camera, you're going to need to install a proper SD memory card. And normally I suggest smaller size memory cards, 32 gigabytes or even under sometimes. This way, if your card fails, you're not out a lot of money, but more importantly, you're not out a lot of footage. But for 360 videos, you do need a bigger size card. So I do recommend about a 128 gigabyte card. I've had a lot of luck using the SamDisk Extreme Plus cards. Make sure they have the U3 write speeds on it, because you really need that for these larger, bigger files. I'll put a link in the description to the ones I actually use in my cameras. To install the card, just remove the battery and slide the card into the slot, and then use your fingernail to push down slightly until you feel or hear the little click sound. Once it's all the way depressed and in the slot, you can then reinsert the battery and make sure that you do get both of the little tabs clicked down so there is no red showing. So before you can start filming with this camera, you do have to actually connect it to the Insta360 app. I don't know why some of these cameras are making you do this lately. However, on a camera like this, you sort of need that app anyways to be able to edit the footage, the 360 footage. Let's go ahead and do that and we'll be right back. After you download the app, all you do is turn it on, click the little camera button in the middle, and then it's going to show you a little green thing on here saying, do you want to connect those? You tap the little green check mark and there you go. And on the app, there's so many different things you can do. I'm looking forward to showing you because editing this is sort of fun. You ever seen Minority Report? Always reminds me of that. There are so many options on the Insta360 app that I could make a standalone video as long, if not longer than this video, just going over those options. So we're gonna just touch lightly on it in this video, but if you are interested, let me know in the comments below. That's how I know if enough people are interested. I'll try to put that video in my to-do list. Now that everything is installed and hooked up with the camera to the app, and we are ready to go, let's jump into this interface and show you how much better it actually is than the old one. Insta360 got rid of that old LED type menu screen. They brought over the touch screen from the Insta360 One R and made huge improvements all around. When you first turn it on, you'll notice that it's nice, clear, bright, easy to see. It's touch sensitive, so you can tap features or slide all over the place. And that's how you get to different screens, different sections of the interface. After being on for a couple of seconds, the options disappear. You do have to tap the screen again so that you can pull the options up so that you can get to your settings. Once you have it on and you're in 360 mode, you'll notice you can then use your finger to slide the monitor around and see 360 degrees on the viewfinder on the camera. Although that function is pretty awesome the first time you turn the camera on, it is a little gimmicky and you're gonna find yourself not using it when you're out snowboarding or doing whatever action it is that you want to do. In 360 mode, you'll just be pointing the camera and getting everything and then worrying about refocusing and pointing that camera after the fact in the app. So although it is just a gimmick to be able to do that, it's still a fun gimmick. At the very top of the main screen and display, you will see the battery icon, and to the right of that, you will see the SD card and how many hours you have left to film. That number will change depending on if you're in 360 mode or what I like to think of as Insta360's answer to the GoPro Max's Hero mode. Now right under that you'll notice a 360 icon, and to switch modes all you have to do is tap that 360 icon and it will flip you from being in 360 mode into a single lens mode. Right of that 360 icon or 150 icon is a flip screen icon. By tapping that, you're able to choose which lens you're actually looking through. At the bottom of the screen, you will see an icon of a camera, a video camera, or a camera with lines in it. These are your still picture, video, or custom mode. You will find options such as standard, HDR, burst, interval, and night shots, all in regular photo mode. In video mode, you will find standard, HDR, time-lapse, time shift, and bullet time. In standard 360 mode, you can film in 5.7K, in 24, 25, or 30 frames per second. To get higher frame rates so that you can slow your footage down, you have to switch to 4K or 3K, which will then let you do 50 or 100 frames per second. Now keep in mind that if you are free framing and pushing out flat content, 5.7K will only push out at 1080 once rendered, and 4K and 3K will obviously drop even lower than the standard 1080 render. Another way to quickly switch camera modes is to just swipe up from the bottom of the main screen, then just swipe through the modes, and from there you can modify your camera or video settings as before. If you swipe over from the left, you can watch back what you've just filmed, and if it's a 360 video, you can actually turn the camera view on the screen on playback. If you tap the 4 boxes on the bottom, you can view 4 files at a time and flip up and down to scroll through all your files faster. And of course, on the left is a little trash can, which should be pretty self-explanatory. To get back to the main camera mode, just swipe from the right. Now, if you continue to swipe from the right, you will eventually find all your camera settings: auto, manual, white balance, and more. In this part of the camera, you can set your color from standard to log or vivid, depending on what works better for your workflow. Now back at the main screen, we can now swipe down from the top to find all our other function type settings. Here we'll find the screen brightness, the lock screen, turning your LED light on and off, as well as quick capture, little rocket. Those last two I actually leave to on so that I know if I'm recording or not, and if I quickly need to record in the last setting I was using, I can just tap the start stop button, turns the camera on, and starts recording instantly. If you swipe to the right again, you get another page of options. Here you can connect your AirPods for audio playback. The built-in audio is not very loud, and I still can't find a way to actually turn it up, so it's a nice option to have that. You'll also find wind reduction and 360 directional focus, as well as voice control. I leave that off. And your basic camera settings ranging from general, Bluetooth, screen auto, sleep. I changed that to 3 minutes. It's defaulted at 1. Voice control, where you can decide on what language it wants to hear, if you decide to use it at all. SD card, you can actually reformat the card right there in the camera. Your video encoding for the 360 and Steadicam, giving you the option of H.264 or H.265, and of course, your camera info. And when you're all done, swipe from the bottom up to return back to the main camera screen. Whew, that was information overload. Now let's get to the fun part, editing your video.
I think it's dead.
Nope, it's still filming. Now we're gonna go over how to edit just the basics, because if I went over everything right now, holy crap, this would be like an hour-long video. You could use your phone, doesn't matter if it's iPhone, Galaxy, whatever. If you have something that can download this Insta360 app, then you're golden. If you don't have an iPhone, you don't have a Galaxy, and you don't have any kind of tablet, you can actually do this on your computer. Insta360 does allow you to do an app onto your computer or a program on your computer. However, I feel that the app that you use on a pad like this is a little bit more thorough. One of the first things you're going to see when you open it is 5 icons down at the bottom. We're going to click the one that says album, and then you have local and camera. So local is what's already been sort of brought over to your iPad, and camera is what's on the camera. Something cool about the Insta360 One X2 compared to the first Insta360 is that we can actually leave the files on the SD card in the camera and not have to import them into our iPads prior to editing them. We hit connect now, searching for our camera. Now that it's on, hit join. You're going to be able to go to camera, and now I can see everything on the camera. First thing you notice, some are round and some are square. The square ones are just your one lens. So that's what you used if you use just one of the lenses instead of 360 mode. If you use the non-pro mode, you can use those MP4 files right off of your SD card, bring those into your computer, edit those in Final Cut, Premiere, whatever. If you use pro mode, you have to actually go through and export them again this way. Notice at the top you have different tabs, and on those tabs you'll see you have everything, just your photos and just your videos. So first, let me show you how you can edit a 360 photo. I'm going to show you two photos, one done correctly with placement and one done incorrectly, and I'll show you why. So this photo is, as you can see, a group of us sitting on a chair. You can tap the photo and there you can change the ratio, and a lot of the times I do the 1:1 when I'm doing photos so that it can be used on Instagram. And then you just tap the screen with your finger and you can move it around wherever you want. You can zoom out a little bit and poof, now you got a photo that you just could not get in any other way. If you want to change it and mess with some things, you can put a filter on it or whatever. For this, we're going to leave it alone. You have adjustments here. You can tweak all kinds of things from exposure to color to shadow to tint. So you don't even need to bring this into Photoshop or Lightroom if you don't want to. You can even do color plus. Notice that brings out the blues. It's a little bit grainy if you blow it up in the blues of the sky. But if we add color plus to it, you can see that grain a little bit better. Since I'm doing most of this stuff on social media, I don't worry a ton about that. What I do worry about is the placement of the stick and the placement of the camera. And in this example, you can see that there's no stitch line really showing. Nothing's cut in half because the camera was extended fully on the pole and it's really far away from us. Once you have it how you want it, at the top right, you see the little box with the arrow. And you can just export the reframe photo exactly how it is. Once you click that, it says save to phone album, check, you got the green, and that should be it. So we'll go here and check our photos, and poof, there it is, right there. Let me show you one that is not done correctly. So the problem with this one isn't that it was too close to my hand. Pole was still extended, but as you can see, it was too close to the snowboard. And you can see the stitch line go right across the base of that snowboard, and there is nothing at all that I could do to fix that. For me, this photo, completely unusable. I think that on these 360 cameras, the 360 photos get overlooked a lot. You can do tiny planets, you can do inverted tiny planets, you can do all this kind of stuff with the 360 photo. Make sure you play around with this feature. There's a lot you can do with it. When you get yours, and hopefully you've used the link in the description below, play with the photo mode. Don't ignore the photo mode. So now let's take a look at the videos. If you guys really want a more extensive video about editing videos, comments below. That's where you let me know, because if you don't, I'm just gonna work on other videos and that will never probably happen. Let's find a video to edit real quick together. So as you see, I've already edited this video. I'm gonna go ahead and click the video, you see the red bar, and that brings up a little trash can. We'll tap that little trash can, and that will remove what I've already done. And you can scrub it with your finger back and forth, just like this on the timeline, to decide where you want to edit from. And as you see on the bottom, there's multiple things you can do. Since we're doing YouTube, it's going to say 16:9. However, you can convert it to 1:1, as well as a few other things like widescreen or vertical for those who do TikTok. If you don't want this whole clip, you can trim just to a section that you want. You can mess with the speed so that you can ramp up the speed. You can do multi-view, which is sort of a picture-in-picture or two pictures next to each other. And then you can add music right from the app. We're going to turn this and tap this yellow plus symbol. And here you can see you can select Tiny Planet, where you can now scroll it up and turn it into a tiny planet. You can switch back to ultra-wide, wide, linear, and narrow. And keep in mind, all of these you can still move around. Tiny Planet, you can come out and do this whole little circular thing. For right now, we're going to keep it an ultra wide. We're going to set the point with keyframe right there. So now that is where our video is starting, right at that point. We can scrub forward a little bit and see what we want by moving it around like so, just with our fingers, and say, okay, that looks good. Let's add another keyframe. So your keyframe is where you select your item, you select it once, and then you move the scroll wheel, move the screen, click the plus button, and then you hit update keyframe, and you do that again and again and again. It's sort of a pain in the ass doing it that way, to be honest with you. The Insta360 One X, the keyframe was pretty awesome because you would actually just move this around, tap and hold the screen, and poof, it would move it, center it to where you tapped it, add the keyframe. And this one, there's this double tap. It's just not as fun, not as intuitive, but it is what it is, and you can use it if you want. But I'm gonna show you what I like to use. So let me clear this out, and make sure you don't hit delete because you'll lose your file. You wanna hit reset edits. And there's two other ways that are pretty cool. First, you gotta always hit that plus button, which is different. You used to just hold the screen. Your deep track, pretty much, you just draw a box on it, hit record, and it starts following your subject matter. It works pretty good most of the time. Occasionally things get lost and you have to sort of redo it. But as you can see, it's staying right on me on that. And whenever that is done, you click stop recording, and now that little part is done. And just tap the button again, and now you can see it's back in 16:9, and it just followed what we were doing. So if you're only following one person or one thing, that's great. However, what I really like to do is actually use this feature. So again, you tap the plus button, you go under Viewfinder, and as you can see, it pulls up a slider, and as I move the camera, or not the camera, I'm sorry, it's like the camera, it might as well be the camera, and this little slider here actually records, and you hold it, and you can zoom out, or you can zoom all the way in. And if you zoom out and look up, you get a reverse tiny planet. And if you zoom out all the way and look down, you get a tiny planet. Doesn't have to be tiny planet. You can rotate and look anywhere you want. So this is the way I edit 99% of my footage on the Insta360 One X2. And if you want to come in close, boom, there you are. You can scroll and look down just to the ground. You get so many options, because just from there I could zoom out and show the whole thing, but zoomed in, there's just my feet. And that is how I get most of the footage that you see me use all over my channel. When I get out of frame, you just wiggle around and follow it and keep them in frame. Or if I want to say, hey, what am I looking at in front of me? Oh, look at that. We can zoom out and still see me. You see, it gets a little weird like that. But if you zoom in, you could get like this really fast kind of look. And then after you're done with that, you hit the check mark, export it at the top right. You're going to export the reframe video, and you can see there's other options here. Your quick export, 1080. You can go over here, customize it. You can do color plus, which changes it. A remove grain feature. That should be interesting. Let's try that. And whenever that is all done, I take that footage into Final Cut Pro, and then I chop it up into the storyboard that I want it to be. Now, I know that was quick and very basic, but hopefully it gives you just sort of the taste of how to edit with this. Keep in mind that it takes a while to reframe and export all these 360 files. Just to make that little clip that you saw at the very beginning of this video, like 30 seconds worth of footage, I edited all the shots I got all day and just took little pieces out of each one, and it literally took me from 5 in the afternoon till midnight to export all those until I could airdrop them into my computer to then be able to chop them up. So if you're looking for a fast way to make videos, 360 usually isn't the answer for that. It opens up creative possibilities that you just can't get with a regular camera, but it does take longer. If you are new to my channel, my name is Sean Oz. This is the World of Oz, where I like to do things with 360 cameras, drones, action cameras, all over the Rocky Mountains. And a lot of the times, I like to share with you how I do it. If you've made it this far, to support the channel, you can buy some merchandise. I make custom art, my own drawings, on t-shirts, as well as a lot of other items, and the link is in the description below. If you really want to win an Insta360 One X camera, you have to be subscribed to the channel. You really should turn on that bell notification. Leave a comment in this video with the 4 correct hashtags, as well as be sure you stay tuned, because the video that is titled something to do with the Insta360 One X2 versus the original Insta360 One X is going to be the part 2 video in this giveaway. I will be trying to get this other video out before the new year. So if you are the lucky winner to get all the hashtags right and leave in the description below maybe what you plan to do with the camera, that's all helpful. Everything you throw in there to show me that you're dedicated and you're going to use it right, and you get the hashtags and you paid attention to the video thoroughly, is going to be helpful. So 4 hashtags. Have fun. Go at it. And I'll see you guys in the next one.